No one heard her arrive. That was always the first mistake. Across 1,000 systems, security footage ended the same way: a flicker, a distortion, a single frame of shadow, and then silence. Admirals collapsed mid-sentence. Warlords suffocated behind locked vault doors. Dictators died with guards standing inches away. No alarms. No witnesses. No mercy. They did not speak her name. They called her the Pale Silence. And tonight, the Pale Silence had been hired to kill a child. The contract came encrypted in Dominion Black, the highest clearance tier in the Varelian war hierarchy. No negotiation. No delay. Immediate execution. Target, human male. Age, 2. Location, Ardent 9 colony. Reason, classified. Payment, irrelevant. Nyxra Vale did not care about reasons. She ended bloodlines. She erased problems. She corrected political inconveniences with surgical precision. She had once eliminated an entire rebel council in under 9 seconds without triggering a single biometric alert. A toddler would take less than one. She descended through Ardent 9's atmospheric shield under the cover of a dust storm. Her stealth mantle bent light around her form, turning her into distortion rather than presence. Human radar never noticed the deviation. The colony was small, fragile, transparent. Humans were new to interstellar politics. Optimistic, emotional, predictable. They built gardens under glass domes and painted their homes in bright colors like the universe wasn't constantly trying to kill them. Nyxra moved through them unseen. Inside the habitation sector, she disabled 2 perimeter drones without breaking stride. Her wrist interface unfolded silently, projecting a 3D schematic of the nursery dome. Heat signatures glowed through walls. 1 adult. Sedated. 1 minor. Alone. She entered without opening the door. A vibration tool sliced the seam at the hinge and resealed it behind her. The nursery was dim. Soft blue lighting. Painted walls. Small toys scattered across padded flooring. Humans decorated spaces for comfort. It made them vulnerable. The toddler sat upright in a containment crib, clutching a worn stuffed animal with one missing eye. Brown hair. Round face. Barely steady posture. He was humming to himself. Nyxra stepped forward. Her boots made no sound. Her armor absorbed light. Her blade extended from her wrist with a quiet metallic whisper. One motion. Precise. Clean. She calculated angles automatically. Cervical disruption would be fastest. Minimal blood. Instant neural termination. She raised her arm. The toddler stopped humming. He looked up. Their eyes met. Brown. Wide. Curious. Not afraid. He blinked slowly at her helmeted silhouette. Nyxra had seen fear in thousands of faces: rage, bargaining, hatred, despair. She had ended monarchs mid-prayer and soldiers mid-scream. She had never seen this expression directed at her. Recognition. The toddler tilted his head. His fingers opened and closed in uncertain coordination. Then he smiled. A slow, unguarded, tooth-barely formed smile. He reached toward her with both hands. Mama? The word struck like impact. Nyxra's arm stopped mid-arc. The blade hovered inches from the child's throat. Her internal combat timer continued counting. Mission window, 0:42 seconds remaining. She did not move. Mama? The child repeated, softer this time. He leaned forward, wobbling, and lost balance. Instead of crying, he laughed, a breathy, delighted sound, and tried to grab her armor again. Her breathing changed. It shouldn't have. Her physiology had been trained beyond hesitation. Emotional suppression. Neural conditioning. Memory compartmentalization. She had endured psychological reprogramming that shattered lesser operatives. But something, small and dangerous, pressed against the wall she had built. A memory surfaced without permission. Smoke. Ash falling like snow. A city collapsing under orbital fire. A small hand slipping from hers. A voice crying out. Nyxra forced the image down. The toddler pulled himself upright using her leg for balance. He wrapped both arms around her armored shin. Warm. Small. Trusting. Mama. Her blade retracted automatically when her pulse spiked. She stared down at the child clinging to her like she was safety incarnate. Her visor scanned him. Biometric stable. Elevated heart rate, excitement, not fear. Neural activity unusually active for his age. There. An anomaly. His brainwave patterns pulsed in complex formations. Rapid adaptation cycles. Pattern recognition clusters developing far ahead of baseline human growth curves. The Dominion hadn't hired her to break a colony's spirit. They were afraid of what this child might become. Her comm implant flickered. Dominion handler, confirm termination. 30 seconds past deadline. She could still complete it. One movement. One correction. Erase the anomaly. Restore order. The toddler pressed his cheek against her armor plating. His tiny hand patted her thigh awkwardly, as if reassuring her. Mama. Her throat tightened, an involuntary muscular response she had not experienced in years. I am not your mother, she whispered. Her voice came out raw through external speakers. The toddler giggled at the sound. He did not understand language fully. He understood tone. And he heard no threat. Her visor displayed mission failure probability climbing. Dominion satellites would soon detect delay. Her reputation had been built on perfection. Across 1,000 systems, her name meant inevitability. And yet, her arm would not lift again. The nursery air felt heavier. The mission timer blinked red. Midnight, deadline exceeded. Outside the dome, distant thunder rolled across Ardent Nine's artificial sky. The child tightened his grip as if sensing something beyond comprehension. Nyxra Vale, the galaxy's most feared assassin, stood motionless in a human nursery with a toddler clinging to her leg. For the first time in her life, she hesitated. For the first time in her existence, she did not know which action would make her stronger. Kill the child. Or protect him. Her comm implant buzzed again. Confirm termination immediately. The toddler looked up once more. Brown eyes reflecting her dark helmet. Absolute trust. Mama. And in that quiet blue room, the pale silence did nothing. The Dominion did not repeat themselves. Nyxra's neural implant pulsed again, sharper this time. Confirm termination. Her visor display shifted from mission tracking to compliance warning. The Varelian Dominion did not tolerate delay, especially not from her. She had never missed a deadline. Never required a second prompt. The toddler was still holding her leg. Still warm. Still alive. Nyxra lowered her gaze to him. He was studying the reflection of his own tiny face in her black visor, fascinated by the distorted image. He pressed his palm against it and laughed softly. He trusted her. The concept felt alien. Her internal processes ran projections. If she completed the contract now, colony destabilized, Dominion satisfied, her status unchanged. If she failed, Dominion retaliation likely. Colony eradication probability, 87%. If she betrayed, personal survival, uncertain. Dominion pursuit, absolute. Her breathing steadied. 4 decades, her path had always been the same. Remove the variable, end the problem, collect payment. But this wasn't a rebel leader. This wasn't a tyrant. This was a child who didn't know fear yet. The comm pulsed a third time, sharper, colder. Assassin Nyxra Vale, the handler's voice came through directly now. No encryption veil. No patience. Why has confirmation not been received? Her fingers twitched. She could still correct this. Her blade would extend in less than half a second. She would not even need to look. The toddler shifted and leaned against her shin, yawning slightly. Mama. The word didn't hit as violently this time. It settled deeper. Nyxra activated her external voice emitter. Target not present. Silence. On the other end of the transmission, calculations were happening. Clarify. She didn't blink. Habitation dome compromised prior to arrival. Subject removed. Another pause. The handler's tone changed, thinner, sharper. That is statistically improbable. So is my failure, she replied calmly. Silence again. The Dominion did not accuse without proof. And she had given them none. Continue search perimeter. You have 10 minutes. The channel cut. Nyxra looked down at the toddler. He was now attempting to climb her leg, determined, small fingers gripping at the grooves of her armor. She bent slightly, something she had not done in a mission zone in years, and carefully lifted him. He weighed almost nothing. Fragile bones. Fast heartbeat. Warm breath against the cold plating of her chest armor. He immediately settled there as if it were natural. As if she belonged there. He pressed his face against her chest and sighed. The sound was small. Content. Her internal systems flagged elevated cortisol levels. Emotional interference. Unacceptable. And yet she did not put him down. Instead, she scanned the room again. The sedated adult in the adjacent chamber, likely a caregiver, was still unconscious from the mild neural gas she had deployed upon entry. No permanent damage. Good. Her mind worked rapidly. If the Dominion realized she had lied, Ardent 9 would be surrounded within hours. They would not send negotiators. They would send an example. She moved toward the nursery window and activated a microsensor probe through the glass. Orbital readings flooded her visor. Dominion fleet signatures were already shifting position. They had never trusted this mission. They feared the child. Which meant the child mattered. She looked at him again. His neural scan replayed in her mind. Accelerated synaptic growth. Pattern recognition forming at an impossible rate. Adaptive intelligence markers. The Dominion didn't kill out of cruelty. They killed out of control. This child was a future variable. A risk. And they had sent her to erase it quietly. The toddler pulled at her collar plating. She looked down. He was staring at her faceplate. Small fingers tapped twice. Mama. Her voice came softer this time. I am not your mother. He smiled anyway. Her processors began running a new set of projections. If she completed the mission now and sent confirmation, the Dominion would withdraw. The colony would survive. She would remain their weapon. If she did not, they would escalate. She knew their doctrine. Erase all witnesses. Burn the lesson into history. Her gaze hardened. The Dominion had used her for 22 years. Pointed her at enemies. At rebels. At inconvenient allies. At civilians when politics required silence. She had never questioned. She had never hesitated. And now, because of a single human word, the foundation was cracking. The comm pinged again. Status update, the handler demanded. She did not respond immediately. Instead, she walked to the nursery door and resealed the cutscene permanently. No evidence of forced entry. Then she spoke. Continuing search. It was the second lie she had ever told on a mission. The toddler rested his head under her chin. Her armor was not designed for comfort. He did not seem to care. Outside the dome, distant sonic booms rippled faintly through the atmosphere. Dominion ships adjusting orbit. They were preparing containment. Not withdrawal. Her jaw tightened. They did not trust her report. They were going to verify personally. And if they found the child alive? She looked down at him one more time. At the steady heartbeat she could feel through her chest plating. At the absolute trust in his half-closed eyes. Mama, he murmured again sleepily. Something shifted inside her, not violently like before. Quietly. Decisively. The pale silence had ended wars. But tonight, she had just started one. Nixra disengaged her contract beacon. A small, irreversible act. The signal that marked her as Dominion property went dark. Across orbit, command systems registered the anomaly. Inside her helmet, a warning flashed. Asset control link, disconnected. There would be no going back. She adjusted her grip on the child. He stirred but did not wake. Search concluded, she transmitted calmly. No target located. Then she cut the channel completely. Across 1,000 systems, the most feared assassin in the galaxy committed her first act of betrayal. And she did it with a sleeping toddler in her arms. The Dominion did not respond with words. They responded with gravity. 3 hours after Nixra severed her contract beacon, Ardent 9 sky changed color. The artificial dusk flickered. Stars disappeared. Mass shadows swallowed the upper atmosphere as Dominion warships translated from subspace without stealth. They weren't hiding anymore. They were making a statement. Nixra stood at the highest ridge of the colony's dome, the toddler secured against her chest inside a sling she had fashioned from her stealth mantle. The adaptive fabric wrapped around him like a second skin, regulating temperature, dampening sound, masking biosignature. Below her, humans began to notice. Children pointed upward. Adults froze. Then the emergency sirens started. Dominion dreadnoughts settled into low orbit like iron verdicts. Nixra scanned fleet composition. 2 battlecruisers. 4 destroyers. Orbital suppression platforms deploying. This was not a retrieval force. This was containment. The toddler stirred against her armor. He blinked sleep from his eyes and looked up at the darkened sky. Big ships, he mumbled softly. Yes, she answered. Her voice no longer trembled. They are not friendly. Her comm unit, now operating independently from Dominion networks, intercepted the first planetary broadcast. A cold, amplified voice filled the air over Ardent 9. Human colony. You are harboring Dominion property. Property. Nixra's jaw tightened. Return the asset, the voice continued, an orbital cleansing will be avoided. Panic rippled through the colony below. Humans did not understand. They did not know she was standing above them. They did not know death had chosen to defend them. The toddler reached up and touched the edge of her helmet. Mama. The word settled inside her like an anchor. She activated magnification optics and scanned the lead dreadnought. Command signature confirmed. High Executive Virel. They had sent someone important. Which meant they knew. She had not fooled them. The handler's voice cut through a private frequency, one she had thought disabled. Nixra Vale. Not assassin. Not operative. Her name. You have compromised Dominion doctrine. Her response was calm. You escalated prematurely. You lied. Yes. Silence stretched across the channel. Return the child, Virel said evenly. You were designed to remove instability. Do not become it. Nixra looked down at the humans running toward shelter doors. At parents carrying their children. At the fragile dome separating them from vacuum. Then she looked at the child in her arms. His neural patterns pulsed across her HUD again. Accelerating. Learning. He was watching the sky carefully. Observing fleet movement. Even now. He was not ordinary. You classified him as threat, she said. He is a projection risk, Virel corrected. Human neuroplasticity combined with Dominion gene tampering exposure makes his development unpredictable. Gene tampering. Nixra's mind sharpened. The Dominion had experimented here. And this child had survived it. He is 2 cycles old, she said coldly. And in 12 cycles he will not be, Virel replied. The meaning was clear. They did not fear what he was. They feared what he would become. The orbital cannons began powering. Energy signatures climbed. Nixra's calculations ran instantly. If they fired, the dome would collapse within 90 seconds. Casualty projection, total. The toddler felt the vibration through her armor. He frowned. Mama, loud. Her hand, steady, lethal, gently covered the back of his head. I will not let them hurt you, she said quietly. Virel's voice hardened. You are Dominion property. No, she replied. I was. She cut the channel. Then she moved. Nixra leapt from the dome ridge and descended toward the colony's central power relay. Humans scattered as a black armored figure landed among them. Some screamed. Some stared. She ignored them all. She interfaced directly with the colony's defense grid, primitive by Dominion standards, but adaptable. Her fingers moved across holographic controls faster than human operators could track. She rerouted power from agricultural sectors. Shut down non-essential systems. Reinforced the dome shield to maximum capacity. It would not hold long. But it would buy time. Above, the first Dominion strike ships broke formation and began atmospheric descent. Hunter units. They weren't risking bombardment yet. They were sending specialists. After her. The toddler clutched her chest plating tighter. Mama? She knelt briefly, lowering herself to his eye level. Her visor retracted halfway, exposing her face for the first time. Sharp features. Pale skin. Eyes that had seen too much war. You must be quiet, she told him softly. He nodded with exaggerated seriousness. She resealed the helmet. Then she turned toward the incoming ships. Across the colony, humans watched in stunned silence as Dominion strike craft pierced the clouds. One woman stepped forward. Are you with them? She demanded shakily. Nixra didn't look back. No. The first hunter squad landed beyond the eastern dome wall. Elite Dominion operatives. Trained in her style. Armed with weapons calibrated specifically to counter her armor signature. They had prepared for her betrayal. Good. She had prepared longer. The toddler's heartbeat accelerated. Not in fear. In anticipation. She felt it. Something in him responded to conflict. Adaptive mind awakening. Nixra adjusted her stance. Across 1,000 systems, she had been the hunter. Tonight, she became something else. Not weapon. Not executioner. Shield. The first hunter breached the dome perimeter. Nixra moved before he cleared the threshold. Fast. Silent. Inevitable. The pale silence had not vanished. It had changed direction. And as Dominion boots hit human soil, the hunt began. The first hunter never saw her. He crossed the dome breach with textbook precision, low profile, thermal dampeners active, pulse rifle calibrated to her armor frequency. He expected a duel. He expected parity. He did not expect her to already be behind him. Nyxra's blade extended in silence. One clean motion. The hunter collapsed before his boots finished adjusting to gravity. She caught his body before it struck the ground. No noise. No alarm. The toddler shifted slightly in the sling against her chest but did not cry. He watched. Brown eyes wide. Learning. Nyxra moved again. 3 more hunters entered through separate vectors. They spread out instantly, disciplined, intelligent, hunting her the way she once hunted others. Good. Predictable. She triggered a localized power surge in the dome grid. Lights flickered. Sensors scrambled. Human security feeds went blind for 4 seconds. 4 seconds was eternity. She dropped from the ceiling structure behind the second operative. Disarmed him before his weapon cleared holster. Redirected his own blade through his armor seam. Third operative fired. Nyxra pivoted, using the second body as shield. Energy burst deflected. She closed distance in 2 strides. Elbow strike to visor. Fracture. Wrist lock. Neck break. The 4th operative hesitated. That was his mistake. She did not. He fell without sound. Silence returned to the dome corridor. 4 elite Dominion hunters neutralized in under 30 seconds. The pale silence was still flawless. But this time, she did not feel empty afterward. She felt protective. The toddler reached up and touched the side of her helmet. "Mama, fast," he whispered. Her breath hitched unexpectedly. "Yes," she said softly. "Very fast." Alarms blared again. Above the dome, Dominion ships adjusted position. They had lost signal from their squad. They would escalate. Nyxra dragged the bodies into a maintenance shaft and sealed it. She extracted their comm cores and scanned incoming fleet chatter. Virel's voice was calm, too calm. "Deploy secondary units. Authorization for live fire inside dome granted." They were abandoning subtlety. Human screams echoed from the agricultural wing as a blast punched through reinforced glass. The dome trembled. Microfractures spidered across the surface. Nyxra ran. She reached the breach as 2 more hunters entered, heavier armor, shock troopers. They opened fire immediately. Energy bolts scorched the floor around her. She didn't dodge away. She advanced. The first trooper fired again. She dropped low, sliding beneath the shot, blade slicing through knee joints as she passed. He collapsed mid-roar. The second attempted to grapple. She allowed it. He locked onto her shoulders, expecting leverage. Instead, she used his momentum to pivot and drive both of them through the weakened glass wall. They crashed into open air beyond the dome barrier. The trooper panicked. She did not. Mid-fall, she drove her blade upward through his chest plate. Then activated her grappling line. The line caught the dome frame and yanked her back upward before atmospheric pressure tore them both downward. She landed hard inside the colony again. Armor cracked along her side. Warning lights flared inside her HUD. Structural integrity, 62%. The toddler had been shielded by her body. He blinked up at her, startled but unharmed. "Mama hurt?" he asked. Blood seeped beneath her plating. "Yes," she admitted quietly. "But Mama is still here." She rose again. Dominion fighters now circled overhead like predators denied prey. Orbital cannons charged once more. Virel's broadcast thundered across the colony. "Nyxra Vale. Stand down." She opened a direct channel. "No. You are escalating civilian loss. You initiated it." A pause. "You were our finest weapon," Virel said. She looked down at the humans huddled beneath shattered structures. At the children crying. At the small boy clinging to her chest. "I am not a weapon," she replied. For the first time in decades, she meant it. The Dominion commander's voice sharpened. "Final directive. Surrender the asset." "Asset." Again. The toddler tightened his grip on her armor. "Mama," he whispered urgently, sensing tension he could not understand. Nyxra's gaze hardened. She activated every stolen comm core she had taken from the fallen hunters. Then she opened a wideband transmission across all Dominion frequencies. Every recorded assassination. Every covert execution order. Every manipulated regime collapse she had ever carried out under Dominion command. She sent them all. Not just to the fleet above. To the Galactic Council. To rival empires. To every listening post in range. The truth detonated across subspace faster than any weapon. Orbital signatures shifted almost immediately. Dominion ships hesitated. Confusion rippled through their formation. Political consequences were already unfolding. Virel's voice returned, no longer calm. You have condemned us. No, Nyxera answered. You condemned yourselves. A long silence followed. Then, the orbital cannons powered down. One by one, the Dominion fleet began to withdraw. Not in defeat. In damage control. They could not afford open war now. Not with their secrets broadcast across the galaxy. The sky above Ardent 9 slowly brightened as the ships retreated into subspace. Humans stared upward in disbelief. The dome trembled but held. Nyxera finally dropped to one knee. Her armor systems failing. Her body shaking. The toddler cupped her face gently with both tiny hands. "Mama's safe," he said confidently. A sound escaped her, half laugh, half sob. Across 1,000 systems, the pale silence had been feared. But here, in the ruins of a glass dome, she was something else entirely. Not assassin. Not weapon. Not legend. Just a woman holding a child who believed she could protect the universe. And for the first time in her life, she hoped he was right. The Dominion did not return. Not the next day. Not the next week. Not even when rival empires began publicly questioning their peacekeeping operations. Nyxera's transmission had done more than expose secrets. It had shifted the balance of power. Across the galaxy, governments replayed the files she had released: assassination logs, falsified treaties, engineered wars. The Dominion had ruled through fear. Now they were defending themselves. And fear cuts both ways. Ardent 9 survived. Barely. The dome was scarred but intact. Human engineers worked day and night sealing fractures, reinforcing the shield grid Nyxera had temporarily rewritten. At first, the colonists kept their distance from her. They had watched her fight. Watched her move faster than thought. Watched trained killers fall like paper in her path. They knew what she was. But they had also seen something else. When the sky burned, she had stood between them and it. She did not speak much. She repaired what she could. She reinforced the colony's defenses properly this time, teaching human security forces how to anticipate Dominion tactics. She showed them where to place blind spots. Where to reinforce. Where to never trust orbital silence. She did not ask for gratitude. She did not want it. The toddler, however, did not understand distance. He followed her everywhere. Through construction zones. Through council meetings. Through supply corridors. He held her hand like it belonged there. And every time, "Mama." The word no longer felt like a wound. It felt like gravity. Weeks later, an encrypted transmission pierced Ardent 9's outer relay. Dominion signature. Not a fleet. Not an army. A single vessel. Nyxera stood alone in the communications chamber when the hologram activated. High Executive Virel appeared again. He looked older. Tighter. "You have destabilized half the quadrant," he said without greeting. "You destabilized it first," she replied calmly. A pause. "The council is investigating us." "They should." Virel studied her in silence. "You could return," he said finally. "Your actions can be reframed. A rogue operation. Corrupted handler. You are too valuable to discard." She almost laughed. Too valuable. For 22 years, she had been pointed at targets and unleashed. Not once had they asked what it cost her. Not once had they cared who she used to be. "I am not available," she said simply. "And the child?" "He has a name." Virel's expression did not change. "He is still a risk." Nyxera stepped closer to the projection. "So am I." Silence stretched between them. At last, Virel spoke quietly. "You are no longer Dominion property." The words felt strange. Final. "You are classified as independent threat." She nodded. "I prefer that." The transmission ended. No threats. No countdown. No fleet shadows. Just absence. For the first time in her life. No one owned her. Years passed. The galaxy adjusted. Dominion influence shrank under scrutiny. Other empires recalibrated. Political maps redrew themselves quietly. And Nyxera Vale vanished from every official record. On a distant human world with open skies and real oceans, not artificial domes, there was a small coastal settlement. Peaceful. Unremarkable. A boy ran barefoot across wet sand. He was older now. 6 cycles. Fast. Curious. His mind worked differently than others, sharp, observant, adaptive beyond his years. He tripped over nothing, rolled once, and sprang back up laughing. "Mama. Watch this." Nyxera stood near the waterline, no armor, no blade. Simple clothes. Wind moving through dark hair. Scars visible along her side where Dominion weapons had cracked her plating years before. She watched him carefully. Always watching. Always calculating. But now, she allowed herself to smile. He sprinted toward her and collided into her legs with full force. She knelt automatically and wrapped her arms around him. Not hesitant. Not unsure. Certain. He buried his face in her shoulder. "You're strong," he declared proudly. She held him tighter. "Yes," she said softly. "So are you." Above them, the sky was clear. No warships. No shadows. Across 1,000 systems, the legend of the Pale Silence still circulated in whispers. An assassin who betrayed an empire. A weapon that chose a child over power. Some called her traitor. Some called her myth. But on this quiet shore, she was simply Mama. And the galaxy's most feared killer was never defeated by armies. She was undone by a human toddler's hug. Not broken. Remade.